Oh, welcome to a short discussion on our Constitution. Note behind me, you take a look there, I'm kind of moving back and forth, you kind of see, that's Independence Hall. That's the inside of Independence Hall where our Constitution was formed. This was a difficult job. It most certainly wasn't one that was even sanctioned in advance. It most certainly was something that some people wanted to do, but not everybody agreed. And some actually went home when they found out that they were going to be talking about making a new constitution. It was a remarkable effort of dealing with political reality and also dealing with political theory, particularly the fear of our founding fathers of both monarchy and of democracy. The genius of it was to find different ways in which we elect people to most certainly balance it all out. We had large states and we had small states. We had slave states and free. So how do you do this, and how do you make this work to actually get sovereign states? That's what our independent colonies were, sovereign states. How do you get them to give up their sovereignty to a larger unit? Well, what the first thing is they recognize that men are ambitious and that people are prone to conflict. So what they did is they gone ahead and accepted that and tied personal ambition to office and pitted office against office. Now, this is the checks and balances you hear about, but it's really much, much more than just simple checks and balances. What they did is had direct democracy for the House of Representatives, 2-year terms, direct elections. It was assumed this would be the most powerful of all the institutions. But what they also did to keep the smaller states happy, because the larger states obviously would have more people in the House of Representatives, is they created the Senate. But the other thing they did with this, and it's very important to understand, is they did it by indirect elections. Now, we elect people directly now. It's not by our state legislators. But originally, the idea was to give states power, that every state would have an equal say in the Senate, and that those senators would be chosen for 6-year terms, making them more independent, and they'd be chosen by the state legislatures. The other thing, of course, is they tried to protect us in terms of who we chose as president. That's why we had an electoral college. The idea was that the average voter would probably vote for somebody to be an elector who was at least a little bit more qualified than the average person, and that they would get together and actually decide who the president would be, and then independently decide who the vice president would be. And the idea was, again, was to protect us from too much democracy, too much potential that a faction or a small minority of individuals could somehow gain enough power, or possibly even a majority of individuals, even scarier, enough power to do things that were contrary to the overall public interest. Now, they didn't talk about the Supreme Court much, but note, the Supreme Court is appointed by somebody who was assumed to be indirectly elected. And then they were basically confirmed by the Senate, also indirectly elected representatives. And then the Supreme Court jurists were made life appointments, only removable by impeachment, making them by far the most aristocratic part of our government. This is a result to try to make government govern itself. Only things of overwhelming national interest or common interest could get passed. It's a very conservative government. By that, I don't mean left or right, but I mean conservative in the sense that it's hard to change things. We are slow to respond in this country. Now, in summary, what I want to just mention is that our founding fathers were brilliant. After all, we are the oldest constitution, the old democracy in the world. It was created at a time when most people thought democracy was unstable and unusable, undoable. And so we need to recognize that 230 years of relatively good success in terms of stable government is a massive achievement. But the fact that it is so hard to change things and that we so overrepresent our rural areas may also mean that our Constitution is no longer viable. It may be obsolete. It is something to consider, at least, as we go forward, looking at how our democracy works. Thank you very much, and see you very soon. Bye-bye.